So when I work with clients, I actually see this pattern repeated over and over again. When they first start their business, referrals carry them. So for the first, let's say 18 to 24 months, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit less, they're basically running completely on word of mouth, recommendations from people that they've worked with to other people or people in the company that they left to start this new business. And referrals, those can totally work to a point. In fact, on a scale of 1 to 10, referrals can usually get you from about like a 0 to a 3 or a 4. But here's the thing, because they can only get you to a 3 or a 4, you can't rely on referrals forever because eventually you are going to run out or you're going to exhaust your connections. So if you want to build more predictable, higher income, more dependable income, you just have to cast a wider net. And that means you need what's called inbound leads. That might sound kind of confusing like marketing speak, but let me explain. So inbound leads are when people come to you and they ask to work together. So for example, people might see something that you posted on LinkedIn, or they read an email that you sent out, or they saw like a TikTok that you made or a YouTube video, and they go, oh, no, this is the person I need to help me solve this crazy problem that I'm having to deal with, or this is the person with the expertise that I know is going to make this project just shine, or that can make my business grow, or that can finally fix my back pain, or whatever it might be. And then they reach out to you. So inbound just means that you're not like chasing people down, and you're also not waiting for somebody else to advocate on your behalf, like a referral. The reason that they come to you is simple. When the problem shows up in their lives, they remember that you solve it and they reach out and contact you. That's really it. Your name just kind of sits at the top of this mental shopping list that they create when they're ready finally to fix this problem and they need to find someone to fix that problem. Unfortunately, in this world, I wish it was just about skill, but it's not really about skill. It's not really about price or niche or even your market or your industry. It's really about making the problem that you solve and how you solve it memorable. So when it's time to buy, people remember and they buy from you. When someone finally decides to hire a business, where do you think they start? Now, most people would say, okay, well, maybe they go into Google or they ask ChatGPT, and that feels like it's the right answer. But actually, the research says that the most important search engine is the one inside of our minds. Potential buyers and clients will start their search for sort of scanning their memories for names or brands that they already know, like, and trust. And if your name does not come up on this mental list that they have, you're not going to get an email, you're not going to get a DM, and you're not going to get a call, no matter how good you are, or how many testimonials or case studies or credentials or degrees that you have. Getting clients is not about being the most skilled. It's about how you package those skills and make them memorable so they call you when they have the problem that they need you to solve. And this isn't like some random theory that I have, by the way, some random crackpot theory. It's based on buyer psychology principles like availability bias and a lot of marketing effectiveness research. Specifically, the Ehrenberg Bass Institute and the LinkedIn B2B Institute ran this really massive study on why some brands grow while other brands stay small. And here's what they found. This is a quote from them, by the way. So they said, quote, even the most well-known B2B brands had more potential customers unaware of the brand than actively rejecting it. The reason most B2B brands stay small isn't that people reject them. It's that most people don't know they exist. So in other words, you're not losing business because people don't like you. You're losing business because they don't, say it with me, remember you. I'm going to say it so many times in this video. It's going to be drilled directly into your head. And that's something called mental availability, by the way. That's a marketing term that describes how easily your name or your business kind of comes to mind when it's time for people to buy. And that principle has created more than $250 million in sales for my clients, from those solo businesses all the way up to Microsoft, McDonald's, and other Fortune 500 companies. Now, if you want to start applying the ideas that have helped me do that in your own business, I've actually packaged 7 of my my best psychology-based growth strategies into a totally free email course called the $1 Million Solo Brand Blueprint. It's designed to kind of help you skip like the vibes and the fluff that's out there and the BS, frankly, and get on the path to building your own $1 million solo business using buyer psychology principles and AI tools. You can grab it at solobrandblueprint.com or just click the link in the description or the QR code. Now, the next logical question: how do you and your business become memorable? You're like, I got it, Jen. I understand. I have to be memorable. How do I do it? Well, that's where this simple 3-part framework is going to come in and help you to do that. When people forget your business, it's not necessarily because your offer isn't exactly right or like your prices are too high. It's often because you're missing one or more of the parts of what I call the memory loop. So this is my simple 3-part framework that's going to make your message stick inside someone's brain, and then they're going to pick up the phone and call you when they have that problem. Step 1 is to make it concrete. So the human brain is not really good at remembering like vague concepts or abstract language. It's way better at remembering concrete messages. So those are things that have like a lot of details. They almost feel like, you hear them and it's like you can almost touch and feel them, and you can easily picture them inside your brains. The psychology behind this is something actually called the simulation heuristic, which basically says if we can picture ourselves doing something, it's much easier to believe that we can actually achieve it. If your main message is going to be really abstract, like we help businesses grow, or something like, I make investing simple, or I help you find your dream job, it just slides right off of people's brains. There's nothing for it to kind of hook onto because it's not concrete, it's not specific. But when you make your message and your offers and your frameworks and your signature IP concrete, when your buyers can actually mentally picture exactly what you mean, you create memories. For example, instead of saying something like, I help people charge more for their services, you can say something like, I help experts price themselves like a Ferrari, not like a tube of toothpaste. And that line paints a picture inside of someone's head. It makes it concrete. You can see a Ferrari, you can see a tube of toothpaste. So then it becomes memorable. And actually, that's a line that I use, so please don't use it, about the difference between being a premium brand and a commodity. And people love it because they can picture it inside their head. They remember it because it's concrete. So step 1, concreteness. Step 2, make it distinct. Now that doesn't mean it has to be like totally radical or different. It just needs to kind of look and sound unique compared to your competitors. I'll give you an example of a brand that we all know. So Coca-Cola. What are some of the things that come to mind when you think of Coca-Cola? It's probably their logo, like the red of the can of Coca-Cola, maybe even like the Santa Claus that they invented, the classic Santa Claus. It's not that Coke is like totally different from Pepsi as a product. It's that Coca-Cola looks and feels different. Like Pepsi is blue, Coke is red. Pepsi is young and fun. Coca-Cola is traditional and higher status. So for you as a business owner, like what does it mean to be distinct? So here's a really great example. Here's a metal band. I love this example, by the way. If you've never seen it, it's really good. It's a metal band with a logo that looks kind of like it should be like for a clown or a circus, and not kind of like a scary metal band. On its own, this logo is not special, but next to all those other like scary gothic metal logos, it stands out. And when it stands out, it's different, it's distinct, and that makes it memorable. For you, that might mean using like a signature phrase or a tagline or creating your own like signature IP, which I'm going to talk about in the next video, by the way, or even something, physical, the glasses that you wear, the way you do your hair, maybe it's like dyed purple or pink, or your clothes or your unique style and how you kind of like present yourself. So once we have things that are concrete and distinct, step 3 is to repeat. So you've got the concreteness, you've got the distinctiveness, it's different, it's tangible, we got it. The only thing left for you to do is repeat it. But this is the mistake that most experts make. Marketers, consultants, agencies, business owners, doesn't matter. They get bored of saying the same thing, so they assume that their audience is bored too. But research actually shows the opposite. Your audience will barely start remembering something even after they've seen it like dozens or maybe even hundreds of times. I'll give you a good example. I live in the UK, And there's a brand here called Ionos that does something with websites. I have probably seen the one commercial they run 1,000 times. I just figured out the name of the brand. Because repetition, it doesn't make you boring, it makes you familiar. And that's why every major brand you see in the world will repeat the same messages and use sometimes the same logo for decades, the same tagline, the same jingle or song. They're not repeating themselves because they've run out of ideas or they're too cheap to hire an ad agency. They're going to repeat themselves because they know that building memories is how they get people to buy from them. So when your message is concrete, people understand it. When it's distinct, it's going to stand out and they're going to recognize it. And when you repeat it, people will remember it. And that's the memory loop. Because once your business lives in somebody's memory, you don't have to go chase them down because people come to you. And you can finally stop overthinking your content, your posts. And if you're interested in doing that, it's exactly what we do inside of Chief Business Copilot and one-on-one coaching with me. We're going to take what already works, so your skills, your story, your expertise, and we're going to turn that into what I call signature IP so that people notice it and they remember it. And then we're going to use that memory loop to really drill it into people's heads so that when it's time for people to buy, they remember and buy from you. There you go. So the next time you catch yourself thinking something like, my content isn't working, or my audience just isn't ready to buy, or maybe the wrong people are on my email list, just remember, the people and the business owners who grow the fastest are not always the best. In fact, they're very rarely the best. They're just the ones that people remember. And by the way, this video is part of my signature IP series where I'm going to show you how to turn your expertise into ownable and memorable intellectual property. So that's the IP, the signature IP. All these things that are going to make selling yourself and your business about 1,000 times easier. I'm going to leave a link to the whole playlist at the end of this video and learn exactly how you can stand out and be remembered in a super crowded marketplace. I'm Jen Clinehens, and I'll see you in the next one.